with this live broadcast, as we will be linking up with our crew at Uhuru Gardens for the celebrations, as to be able to see what is happening right there. But in the meantime, we've got our guests here in studio. We've got two panels. On this side of the studio, I've got my guests, that is in my immediate left, Kiptoo Arab Kira, former Agriculture Minister, as well as Joshua Kiptoo on the far left, an advocate of the High Court. Good morning, gentlemen, and happy Jamhuri Day to you.
Good morning.
And I'll begin perhaps with you, Bwana, former Speaker. What do you have to celebrate, and from a personal perspective, as a Kenyan, as a leader, an advocate, is there anything to celebrate and worth celebrating, especially even as you look at the headlines that have been splashed from the dailies this morning?
So thank you very much, and I wish to wish our viewers happy Jamhuri Day. So Jamhuri Day is more of a collective celebration rather than individual, because this is a time, or it's a period, a day we commemorate when Kenya became a republic, more or less, like, because we had 12th December 1963. It was the first time we were getting independent, but 1964 is when we became formally a republic.
Yes.
And it's a day to commemorate and appreciate the 61 years that has been. What to celebrate mostly is the strides we've made in governance and the journey or the mile that is still ahead on the same issue on governance. But we first have to appreciate the foundation that has been set by our forerunners since that day when we got independence. And in this case, we celebrate being a peaceful republic. That is not something you take for granted, for being peaceful for the period of time that we've been as a country, despite upheavals that have happened in between. Number two, political developments. We've had significant political development as a republic. Remember that between 63 and 64, we got independence in 63, 12th December, but within the Commonwealth realm. 1 year later, we became a republic, though that came with the dismantling of the regional governments, which took another 40 years to recreate. So you can see there are lessons and mistakes made along the way. That in 1963-64, when we dismantled our regional or majimbo governments, and then it took us another 40 years to fight and recreate the devolved county governments that we have now. And as you've seen, the tremendous progress it has done to our republic in terms of taking governance down to the grassroots and to the people. On top of that, remember, we started as a one-party, or more or less like a multi-party system, then kind of backslid into a one-party state, and then ultimately in 91 coming forward, re-established our multipartism. And through the journey of multipartism, it has been a tremendous growth in our political development, because multipartism didn't mean that the country was at an optimum in enjoying a multi-party system. The struggles of the 90s, which in this case you find are more or less like towards reform, legal reforms that are constitutional in nature, because after we recovered our multi-party state, there was also the issue of how then do we become a functioning multi-party democracy. And I'm happy Waziri is here. Kiptoo Kirwa, I remember when I grew up, in class 4, 98, they had a muungano wa mageuzi. But before then, I think he formed a party called UDM, which was to challenge the KANU regime then, which was the power or the ruling party. And subsequently, you can see in 2003, he was part of the group that ushered in the NAC dream. The first and the last time we'll have a president being elected with 67%, whereby you see it was more or less like a rebirth of a republic. Though I'm sad to say that it was a lost opportunity also, because in 67, by getting 67%, Kibaki had the nation at his feet, where he was to recreate the Kenyan dream of national unity. That was a bit elusive, and our Jamhuri Day celebration today is about that national dream. Wins for the NAC dream of 202 was basically economic development that we keep referencing to. But we lost it on the nationhood, because the ethnic chauvinism reared its ugly head. And in fact, I was just reading the serialized book of Martha Karua, where he said it was a lost opportunity because they got into fights, and that has been our story since 2002, where political bickering and fights has robbed us ability to move ahead as a republic. But we take the lessons. Ultimately, you can see that the last 15 or 20 years, our political development has matured to the level that we have a robust political party competition, that our elections has become very close very closely contested, but more importantly, since 2022, which I reasonably predicted from 2017, that 2022 going forwards, our elections will be pegged on issues. And one of the biggest challenge the president is facing, as you've said, look at the headlines. The biggest challenge, which I think he's credited in saying that never again after 2022 would we contest our elections based on personalities or based on individual or ethnic chauvinism. Otherwise, it will be an issue of issue-based agenda or issue-based election, where the agenda for any elections will be issues. Now we are in that age. So since 2022, the reason the government is now being put on the back pedal and on a high moral ground to deliver is because now the Republic is where issues of governance are at the center of our consideration. Okay. So as we celebrate today, it is basically taking stock, but also knowing that the tremendous challenge that lay ahead for us as a Republic. There's a lot to cover, and I'm happy the next generation that some of us born in the 80s who never saw the Uhuru, we were born post the Uhuru, and even those born post the 2000, the so-called Gen Z group, you can see they have taken up the mantle on fighting for proper governance. So I'm really optimistic. I'm very happy that as we celebrate Jamhuri today, we are at the cusp of another governance changeover or transition, because the demand for proper governance, the demands for a functioning social democracy or political democracy for our Republic is what is our conversation as we speak. Thank you.
Bona Kiptoo, you were just about, I think, 4 years